Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip.
She was one of Hollywood's most stunning redheads, an actress who became a household name as Ginger Grant on Gilligan's Island. But the truth about Tina Louise's life is more shocking than you think. From her secret struggles behind the scenes to a hidden musical career and a bitter battle against typecasting, Tina Louise's story is filled with twists you never saw coming. And what she said about her biggest regret will leave you speechless. Stay with us as we uncover the untold truths about Tina Louise. It's easy to focus on the glamour of her iconic role, but behind the scenes, there were rumblings of discontent and big dreams she kept hidden. Despite portraying a larger-than-life movie star on screen, Tina was wrestling with her own identity off camera. Was Hollywood ready for an actress who refused to be pigeonholed? That burning question is exactly what makes her story so powerful. With each chapter of her life, Tina Louise challenged expectations. She didn't simply rely on her striking looks. She put in countless hours perfecting her craft, forging a path that would ultimately shape pop culture for generations. But the path wasn't smooth. High-profile feuds, major sacrifices, and whispers of discontent followed her everywhere. If you think you know Tina Louise just because you've seen her on Gilligan's Island, buckle up. We're diving deeper, unearthing the layers of a woman who refused to be defined by one role. Some of the revelations might just change the way you see her forever. Whether you grew up watching her light up the screen or you're just hearing her name for the first time, this story isn't one you'll forget anytime soon. Before Hollywood, before Gilligan's Island, Tina Louise was just a little girl in New York City, born Tina Blacker on February 11th, 1934. But life wasn't easy. Her parents divorced when she was only 4 years old, leaving her mother, Sylvia, a fashion model, to raise her alone. While many assumed she was always destined for showbiz, her first step into the spotlight was surprisingly humble. A candy shop advertisement for her father's store at just 2 years old. Even though she didn't remember it, that moment planted a seed. As she grew, she found herself drawn to performance, balancing school with a passion for singing, acting, and dancing. But would Hollywood ever take her seriously? Tina's mother encouraged her creativity, but also emphasized education, ensuring that Tina didn't just rely on looks or raw talent to find success. Growing up without her father's constant presence, Tina found escapism in music and live performances she watched on the streets of Manhattan. She'd often daydream about life beyond the crowded city, visualizing herself on the big screen. During her teenage years, she attended prestigious schools like PS6 and Scarborough Day School, later moving on to Miami University for a time. Yet even then, she felt the magnetic pull of the stage. Observers described her as both reserved and fiercely determined, a combination that set her apart from her peers. At home, she would practice reciting lines from popular plays, mimicking the nuances of classic Hollywood stars. It was during those formative years that Tina decided she wouldn't settle for an ordinary life. The moment she hit 17, she resolved to break out of the mold and pursue professional training in the performing arts. Despite the skeptics who believed a broken family background would hold her back. In Tina's mind, it only fueled her ambition. At 17, Tina made a bold move. She started training at the prestigious neighborhood playhouse school of the theater under legendary coach Sanford Meisner. She knew one thing. If she wanted to make it in Hollywood, she needed more than just beauty. She needed undeniable talent. Then came her big break. In 1958, she made her film debut in God's Little Acre, a role that showcased her charisma and talent. But it wasn't just critics who took notice. The National Art Council crowned her the world's most beautiful redhead. The recognition boosted her career, and suddenly, she was landing leading roles alongside Hollywood heavyweights like Robert Taylor and Richard Widmark. But not all offers excited her. She turned down roles in Lil Abner and Operation Petticoat, setting the stage for the opportunity that would define her forever. Behind the scenes, Tina was anything but the stereotypical starlet. She insisted on understanding every facet of a production, from set design to dialogue coaching, frequently staying late to refine her scenes. Producers loved her commitment, yet some found her intensity intimidating. Hollywood was used to pretty faces who followed directions, but Tina pushed for creative input. Rumors circulated that she studied countless scripts after class, searching for complex characters that would challenge her capabilities. She refused to let her appearance be the only selling point. This ambition sometimes led to friction. Directors wanted a beautiful redhead, but Tina craved depth. It became a defining pattern of her career, fighting to be taken seriously amidst a culture that often rewarded compliance over creativity. Her 1958 breakthrough wasn't just a personal triumph. It marked a shift in Hollywood's perception of her. She wasn't just eye candy, she was a force to be reckoned with. That determination would soon collide with one of TV's most iconic shows, for better or worse. Then came 1964, the year Tina Louise became Ginger Grant. Gilligan's Island was an instant sensation, turning its cast into overnight stars. But while fans adored Ginger's glamour and charm, Tina felt trapped. She had dreamed of serious Hollywood roles, but suddenly she was stuck playing the stereotypical Hollywood bombshell. The fear of being typecast loomed over her career, and she resented the limitations the role placed on her. When Gilligan's Island ended in 1967, she refused to return for sequels and reunions, a decision that fueled rumors of tension with her co-stars. But the truth was more complicated. Tina wanted to prove she was more than just Ginger Grant. So she set out to reinvent herself. During filming, Tina often tried to add layers to Ginger's character, urging writers to explore Ginger's backstory or vulnerabilities. While the show was pure sitcom escapism, Tina's serious approach sometimes clashed with the lighthearted tone. She'd propose scenes where Ginger displayed genuine fear or sadness, but producers were hesitant to deviate from the comedy formula. Off camera, she maintained a cordial relationship with her castmates, but reports suggest she didn't participate in many offset gatherings. Some took this as snobbery, while others believed she was simply protecting her future career. Her biggest worry that no director would see her beyond the glamour and comedic flair the show required. Viewers never saw that battle raging inside Tina's mind. For them, Ginger was a Hollywood fantasy incarnate, a starlet who sparkled even when stranded on a deserted island. Yet for Tina, it was a golden cage. Accepting or rejecting that identity would shape her professional life for years to come. It wasn't just about pride, it was about carving out her own path, something she was determined to do, even if it meant turning her back on a wildly popular show. But here's something that might shock you. Tina Louise wasn't just an actress, she was a singer too. In 1957, right before her Hollywood breakthrough, she recorded an album, It's Time for Tina. The jazz-inspired record featured Coleman Hawkins on saxophone and showcased a side of Tina most fans never knew. Even though the album wasn't a massive hit, it has since been re-released multiple times, even making its digital debut in 2012. Her music career didn't last long, but it's proof. Tina Louise wasn't afraid to take risks, but Hollywood still had unfinished business with her. Most people who tuned into Gilligan's Island had no idea about her brief foray into music. Curiously, some fans stumbled upon the album years later, surprised to hear Tina's sultry vocals gliding over smooth jazz arrangements. It's Time for Tina boasted 12 tracks, including classics like I'm in the Mood for Love each delivered with a surprising level of vocal finesse. Critics of the day gave the album mixed reviews, praising Tina's daring move into a crowded music scene, but questioning whether she could truly stand out among established jazz vocalists. Nonetheless, the project gave Tina an outlet to explore another facet of her artistry, one free from the confines of scripts and directors. When asked about the album in interviews, Tina often expressed fondness for that period. She saw music as an avenue for genuine expression, unbound by Hollywood stereotypes. Despite not achieving commercial success, she showed that her drive to create went beyond the silver screen. Even now, collectors and nostalgia buffs seek out vinyl pressings of It's Time for Tina, keeping this hidden gem alive for new generations to discover. Determined to escape her sitcom past, Tina deliberately chose darker, more dramatic roles. In 1969, she starred in The Wrecking Crew with Dean Martin, but that was just the beginning. Over the years, she played everything from a heroin addict in Kojak, 1974, to a ruthless prison officer in Nightmare in Batham County, 1976. She even took on Italian cinema and returned to Broadway. But despite proving her range, the shadow of Gilligan's Island never fully faded. No matter how much she reinvented herself, to millions, she was still Ginger Grant. And this struggle would follow her for decades. Tina's commitment to breaking free from the ginger mold led her to accept parts that were often gritty and emotionally challenging. She became known among certain directors for her willingness to transform physically and mentally for a role. In one interview, Tina recalled spending hours researching the realities of drug dependency for her Kojak appearance, hoping to deliver an unvarnished portrayal of addiction. Her Italian film ventures exposed her to an entirely different cinematic culture. She dove into roles that demanded raw emotion and embraced the dramatic flair European cinema was famous for. Colleagues admired her adaptability and the fearless way she approached unconventional scripts. Yet, no matter how compelling her performances were, the American audience continued to see that all too familiar face from their favorite stranded sitcom. Still, Tina remained undeterred. If one role didn't spark the change she wanted, she'd find another. It was a marathon, not a sprint, and she was running on pure determination. By the late 1970s, she had amassed a portfolio of nuanced roles, enough to earn respect within the industry, even if the mainstream spotlight was still focused elsewhere. For Tina, true success meant artistic growth, a principle that carried her through countless auditions and late-night rehearsals. Behind the scenes, Tina's personal life was just as fascinating. In 1966, she married Les Crane, a pioneering radio and TV host. Together, they had a daughter, Caprice Crane, who followed in the entertainment world, becoming an MTV producer and novelist. Caprice even dedicated her first book to her mother. But Tina and Les's love story didn't last. They divorced in 1971. Still, her greatest legacy wasn't Hollywood, it was her family. Their marriage captured the public's attention because Tina, with her glamour and star power, seemed like the perfect counterpart to Crane's edgy, outspoken style on radio and TV. Reporters often snapped photos of them at high-profile events, casting them as a power couple. Yet within a few years, cracks began to show. Both had demanding schedules, and Lace's career sometimes drew criticism that put strain on their home life. After the divorce, Tina focused on raising Caprice, determined to give her daughter a sense of normalcy. She made sure Caprice received a well-rounded education, encouraged her creative pursuits, and instilled the same passion for artistry that defined Tina's own life. Caprice's later success in media and literature seemed a natural extension of Tina's influence. Proof that, while Tina faced struggles in her personal relationships, she channeled those experiences into motherhood. In interviews, Tina rarely delved into the emotional specifics of the divorce, but she hinted that balancing celebrity life with genuine emotional connections proved more difficult than she ever anticipated. Over time, she chose to keep romantic matters private, focusing instead on her career and her daughter's upbringing. It's a side of Tina Louise few fans knew, a woman committed to protecting her family, even if it meant stepping back from the limelight at critical junctures in her career. Tina Louise wasn't just an actress, she became an advocate for education and literacy. For decades, she worked as a volunteer teacher for underprivileged kids in New York City, believing that reading was a lifelong gift. She even wrote children's books, including What Does a Bee Do?, which raised awareness about honeybee depopulation. Beyond education, she was a fierce advocate for women's empowerment and animal rights, working with groups like PETA, the ASPCA, and the Humane Society. Even after Hollywood moved on, she continued using her platform for real change. The seeds of her philanthropic work were planted long before fame. Growing up in a single-parent household, Tina witnessed firsthand how opportunities in education could change someone's life trajectory. Determined to pay it forward, she began volunteering in community centers, reading to kids, and encouraging them to tell their own stories. Later, she published additional children's books, each carrying a social or environmental message, from the importance of self-esteem to the urgent need to protect pollinators. These weren't vanity projects. Tina personally funded school visits and donated portions of her book proceeds to literacy programs. She wanted to inspire children to see reading as a superpower that unlocked infinite possibilities. Her activism also extended to championing women's rights. She publicly supported organizations that tackle issues like workplace inequality and gender-based violence, often speaking at events to share her perspective on empowerment. And her passion for animals led her to collaborate with PETA on awareness campaigns, urging people to adopt cruelty-free lifestyles. Over the years, she's been an unwavering supporter of the Humane Society, highlighting everything from pet adoption drives to legislative reforms aimed at ending animal cruelty. In all of these efforts, Tina Louise proved that stardom can be leveraged for something bigger. Even decades after her prime Hollywood years, she used her name to shine a spotlight on causes that otherwise might be overlooked. For years, fans speculated, did Tina Louise regret playing Ginger Grant? She often refused to talk about Gilligan's Island, fueling rumors of a feud with Bob Denver, Gilligan. But in 2005, after his passing, she wrote a heartfelt tribute proving there was no bad blood. And in 2020, after the death of co-star Dawn Wells, Mary Ann, she finally set the record straight. Tina admitted she once resisted the show's legacy, but in time she realized Gilligan's Island had become something bigger than any of them. It was a generational escape, a source of comfort for millions. Initially, Tina worried that her reluctance to embrace Gilligan's Island would overshadow her other achievements, negating the countless hours she spent honing her craft in theater and film. Fans, journalists, and even industry insiders labeled her ungrateful, assuming she believed herself above the show that made her famous. But her real issue was typecasting. She wanted to be known for her range, not just one comedic role. In later interviews, Tina expressed a more nuanced view. She appreciated the joy the show brought to viewers, especially during challenging periods in history. Letters poured in from people who said they found solace in the series, escaping reality for 30 minutes at a time. Parents introduced it to their kids, creating multi-generational fans. Realizing how meaningful that was shifted Tina's perspective. She began to see Ginger Grant not as a limitation, but as part of a legacy, something that connected her to millions of people around the world. Still, it's clear that a part of her would always wonder what might have been if she'd had more freedom in those early days. Yet she ultimately embraced the fact that a single role can be both a blessing and a hurdle, shaping an actor's life in ways no one can predict. Tina Louise is more than just Ginger Grant. She's a Broadway star, a singer, an activist, and an author. She fought against typecasting, broke barriers, and used her voice to inspire change. Her career may have taken unexpected turns, but one thing is clear: her impact is undeniable. So what do you think? Did Tina Louise's decision to walk away from Gilligan's Island help or hurt her career? Let us know in the comments below. What stands out most is her relentless pursuit of growth. Whether it was her bold shift to serious roles, her brief but daring music career, or her philanthropic ventures that touched countless lives. She never seemed content to stay in one lane, consistently challenging both herself and the industry to think bigger. Even as controversy swirled and gossip columns questioned her decisions, Tina stayed focused on what mattered to her: creativity, authenticity, and making a difference. Today, she remains a testament to the idea that success isn't just about fame or fortune. It's about leaving the world a little better than you found it. From advocating for child literacy to supporting animal welfare, she's demonstrated that an entertainer's influence can extend far beyond the screen. For every fan who remembers her as Ginger, there are others who've discovered her books, her advocacy, or her heartfelt interviews discussing life after Hollywood. In a business that often boxes people in, Tina Louise reminds us that reinvention is possible at any stage. Yes, Gilligan's Island might have shaped her public persona, but it didn't define her soul. She charted her own course, a fitting legacy for a woman who started out as a curious girl in New York, dreaming of something greater. The real question is, how will her story inspire you?